join us in the holding area for race 2B. And Lindsay, yet again, we're seeing a mixed grid, a lot of people that we wouldn't normally expect to see in the B races.
Yeah, it's completely a bit controversial this weekend, where we have the A's have a bit people that are normally in the B's have got people that are normally in the A's. It's all over the shop, so I'm not really sure what's going to happen.
No, me neither. I mean, Martin Tully, normally an A racer, he's been having some problems with setup, hasn't quite got the car on form. Who else have we seen moving around? We've seen Charlie back out after a massive incident yesterday. It's a complete mixed grid. I
have to agree. As I keep saying, I just don't know what's going to happen. I'm going to have to keep a close eye on these guys.
Well, you're going to be keeping a close eye with Jake Sanson, who's going to take you through the rest of the grid.
Thanks, Lindsay and Lloyd. Let's talk you through this topsy-turvy grid for the second of our B group races in Mazda MX-5s in 2018. Lewis Cannon and Martin Tully on that front row from Matt Pollard and Simon Orange. Paul Tucker lines up beside Callum Greatrex with Ivan Leary and Bryn Griffiths on the fourth row. Rounding out the top 10 is Ollie Robinson and Clyde Chisnell. Then Tom Jenkins and Charlie Rawls are on row 6 with Graham Rumsey and Bruce Robinson. And then it's Richard Bartlett alongside Chris Ginn. Behind them is James Love and Jonathan Fieldsen. Keep an eye on the guys fighting back. Richard Wootton, Anthony Hutchins and Jake Stiles from the last position point on the grid. Do not expect Jake to finish this race in 21st position. He will be fighting through. The green flag flies at the back of the grid. The 5-second board goes up and we're ready to race at Cadwell Park for the second time in the B group in the Mazda MX-5 Championship. Go! Let's see who gets the best start. Tully is there alongside Cannon. Now, we've seen traditionally the inside line tends to get the best getaway. Cannon's got a good start. So has Pollard. There's not much Tully can do about it. And Paul Tucker's coming through as well. So all of those drivers on the odd side of the grid, 1, 3 and 5, have come to 1, 2 and 3. We're on board with Martin Tully, and that is Paul Tucker in front of us. Not a lot we can do about it except follow in position and hope for an opportunity in the first couple of laps. So Tully slots into 4th position as they go down out of Charlie's on the Park straight. Back on the power once again. Good little bit of jostling there as Chisnell loses the place in a straight line there to the 45 of Graham Rumsey, who is charging forward. Some good battles in the early stages. And out in front, it is still no problem for Cannon. Then it's Pollard, Tucker, Tully. Simon Orange is in there next up as well, trying to come through. But Simon Orange has got Callum Greatrex right behind him, so they're going to want to sort that one out fairly quickly as they come through this time. Whoa, big twitch from the leader, Lewis Cannon. Then it is Pollard, Tucker, Tully, Orange and Greatrex as the top 6 go through. Orange getting very close to the back of the number 23 of Martin Tully as they come through. Oh, and obviously we've had a race earlier on that's seen a lot of oil go down. The drivers kicking up the dust of the, basically the tarmac dust that's gone down there to exacerbate the oil that's been left by a different championship. So they are obviously having to cope with that as an extra little obstacle on the first couple of laps of this race. So they kick up the dust as they come through. Paul Tucker hanging on in front of Martin Tully. Fingertips touching as they go by the hall bends there. I've always loved that livery of Martin Tully and his team. So they come through this time. On towards the barn, the final turn of the course. Very easy to lose the back end here, even on the first lap. In fact, particularly on the first lap, as Callum Greatrex nearly gets loose. Doesn't quite get the car out of control there. Bryn Griffiths is trying to hang on in front of Ivan Leary as well. The two drivers from the 4th row remain in 7th and 8th, although they have swapped positions. So Griffiths has got past Leary. There's Simon Orange trying to keep well in the top 6. The top 5, of course, across the line will go up to the A group as well. And that's why we've seen Cannon, Tully, Pollard, Orange and Tucker in this one, because they were the bottom 5 in the A group. And that's why they've been demoted to the B. We're on board with Clive Chisnell. Look at how much work goes into the steering wheel as he's working his way through Charlie's. Very, very tough to get the grip in the early stages on cold tyres here at Cadwell Park. The Mazdas are fascinating to watch. So they continue to charge forward. There is Orange in the 67. Oh, he's got to be loose. Careful, Simon. Goodness me. That was very nearly game over. So Tully there, tucked in behind the 22 of Paul Tucker. Looked as if he got a little bit of an error there, but I don't know if that's something he can fight his way back from, or whether that was just a quick twitch up over the curb. And Tully looking very close to Tucker. Tucker's actually falling back from Cannon and Pollard, who are leading the way in the early stages. There you go, past the dust as well, as they obviously try. Well, I wonder if Paul Tucker accidentally they're just trying to leave a massive train of spray of dust behind the guys behind. Goodness must be, because obviously I don't want to say that anyone would do that deliberately to stop the guys behind, but in this rough and tumble and very playful form of motor racing, the Mazda MX-5 Championship, it's almost as close to a Dick Dastardly wall of spray behind that you're ever going to be able to leave for another driver. So it's ironic that Paul Tucker just ends up running the whole length nearly of that tyre dust. As he comes through, the 55, Matt Pollard, closing in on Lewis Cannon now, the race leader. Tucker, Tolley, orange, grey Trex through that final turn. No major changes in the early stages of proceedings. Still a long way to go here at Cadwell Park. Lewis Cannon and Matt Pollard have broken clear of the rest of the field. Now Pollard looks particularly quick through this first corner at Coppice, and that's where he's able to gain a lot of ground. It seems as though Pollard just seems to have a more stable car in the faster corners, and that's where he's gaining a lot of time on Lewis Cannon. It would not surprise me at all if he was able to get a good run on Cannon. Maybe not on this lap, but certainly on the next one. But he's getting quite close on the way down the Park Straight. He's very tight in already. A couple of car lengths is the gap at the moment. Give it one more lap and he'll have a chance. Look at how much Tucker is having to defend from Martin Tolley for third position. He's having to make that car very wide as he comes through the apexes. So they come off Chris Curve, dropping down the hill towards the gooseneck. Right, left, plenty of curb, a bit more on the exit. Two wheels just about going over the white line, but that's not a massive problem. It's just about kept that one together. So they come down the straight one more time, just kicking up the cement dust from that oil spill earlier on. No major problems with traction, keeping it all together. The two leaders away and clear, Lewis Cannon and Matt Pollard, with Tucker hanging on in front of Martin Tolley, Simon Orange and Callum Greatrex. Then it is still Bryn Griffiths in front of Ivan Leary. We'll try and look back and see if any more drivers are working their way through, because obviously the likes of Oliver Robinson and Charlie Rawls will be trying to fight their way forward. Jake Stiles needs a lot more luck than he's had so far this weekend as well. So hopefully there's going to be a bit of a resurgence from them in the remaining race and a half of this particular weekend here at Cadwell Park. But it's always good to know that even if you're having a bit of a duff weekend, you've still got plenty of race drivers to battle with. That's Ivan Leary on the back of Bryn Griffiths as they go through turn one. So Griffiths is trying to hang on to his advantage. Yellow flags out, so somebody's gone off at Charlie's. Not entirely sure who that is. We'll try and get a reading on who it is that's gone off there at Charlie's, but I think we have lost Jake Stiles. So Jake Stiles, by the look of it, has had yet another big problem, and he appears to be out of the race. So that is a real shame for Jake Stiles. He's having a miserable weekend here at Cadwell Park. Definitely not up to his standards, as again Ivan Leary tries to make inroads into Bryn Griffiths, and Ollie Robinson in 9th place is closing up, with Chisnell still there in 10th. Not much has happened between these guys at the start of the race, because basically Griffiths and Leary swapped positions, but since then they've just been in a train. Then it is Robinson and Chisnell. Looking back to see if Jenkins is still there with Charlie Rawls. They had a great battle in race one, and yes, I think they are both still there. Bit of cement dust kicked up again from Leary as he chases after Griffiths. Ollie Robinson has got Chisnell for company as they break down for the mountain. It looks like it is Charlie Rawls in front of Tom Jenkins at the moment. I'll just try and double check that. Yes, that does look like Charlie Rawls' car there in the 26 in front of Jenkins in the 56, and then a little way back is Graham Rumsey. So they still battle away. Bryn Griffiths hanging on to things at the moment. Charlie Rawls and Tom Jenkins filling up the back of what is now a 6-car train. That shows you how slow Bryn Griffiths is going relative to the 3 guys behind, because they've now been caught by both of these drivers in the mix. We're on board with Clive Chisnell, who's trying to work his way up the order. He is currently there in 10th place behind Ollie Robinson, that car in front of us, as they go up towards Coppice Corner. Through the left-hander, carrying the speed. You've got to be so brave to keep this car on the straight and narrow, and it's very easy to spin. Then you come into this first of 2 apexes at Charlie's, but if the car continues to steer into that second apex, it's not quite smooth, and it's certainly not straight. So Chisnell chasing after Robinson as they go down the Park Straight once again. Leary is desperately trying to find a gap on Bryn Griffiths, is not able to at the moment. And that is what I love about the Mazda MX-5 Championship. It doesn't matter if you're at the front of the field or at the back, in the A group or the B, you've always got 2 or 3 colleagues to play with. It's not a bad idea going racing in this for your first time in the British club racing scene. Many drivers have. Of course, out of the Mazda MX-5 Super Cup grid, we've seen many of them go on to big things, none the least of which is Tom Roach, who was a champion in both of these categories and is now racing in the Ginetta Super Cup on the Tocqueville. So from this kind of club racing championship, you really can make good progress in your motorsport career. And of course, Abby Eaton, who was the MX-5 Super Cup champion rather than the Championship champion in the Mark III Brigade, she won the title. And of course now is the official driver for the Grand Tour. Jeremy Clarkson, Richard Hammond and James May's programme on Amazon Prime. They come down out of the mountain, up towards Hall Bends, right, left, right again, and then into the left once more as Ivan Leary closes in on Bryn Griffiths, trying to find a way through. He just seems to be unable to get close enough to Griffiths to really throw it up the inside of the hairpin, but he probably will be heard overnight as they get chatting away about race one. The tales of Courtney Milnes doing that to gain her way up to the top three. And we'll probably want to try a similar trick. Now here's Tucker and Tolley still battling away over third position as they try and catch up to Lewis Cannon and Matt Pollard. They go up the Park straight once again, up towards the right-hander at Park, and there is still not quite enough space for Tolley to get the move done. Fifth position there, Simon Orange in with Callum Greatrex as they go into the right-hander, blowing their way through up towards Chris Curve again. So some pretty exciting stuff. We're on board with Martin Tolley as the man in front of us, still Paul Tucker in third. Hoping for a little bit more from this race as he continues to press on. Good driving over the curbs. Plenty of curb taken from Martin Tolley, and he's able to get a good bit of momentum on Paul Tucker this time as they drop down into Mansfield. Curb on the inside line, back on the power, up through the gears, avoiding the cement dust if they can. A little bit of a correction of the helmet there. Now, interestingly, Martin Tolley has actually got his visor slightly open. Now, obviously, they've got windscreens in front of them. These cars don't have roofs, so they're not far away from being single-seaters in terms of the draw of wind they get. But some drivers do not like having the windscreen on and then also having the visor shut. Some like to have a little bit of breathing space so they don't get misted up. And I noticed that I think that's Paul Tucker and Martin Tolley have both got a little bit of space open. They've got full-face helmets rather than rally helmets, but they both seem to have their visors slightly open, obviously helped a little bit by the visor. Now, obviously, if it was wet conditions, they would definitely have that shut because it would be a little bit easier to see where they were going. But there is Matt Pollard in second place. He really has lost the back of Lewis Cannon now, so it looks as though the race is almost sewn up by Lewis Cannon, who looks set to go through to the A group for the third and final encounter of the weekend, having originally been in the A group, of course, along with Tolley, Pollard, Orange and Tucker. Here comes Martin Tolley. He's lined up Tucker nicely, but Tucker's not going to give him any room. He sends him to the left side, but we've seen a couple of times today already drivers trying that trick around the outside. Tucker's going to try and move across. Tolley's still there. That was Tucker. See, Tolley could have been a little bit more aggressive to hold that line around the outside, but he obviously wanted to see if he could make the corner, and that was enough for Tucker to hold on to third place. Terrific tussling in the Mazda MX-5 Championship, as there always is, but particularly here at Cadwell Park. They come off of the gooseneck, up towards Mansfield. Is that a move? No, Tolley has to hang back again. So Tucker still providing the measure of Martin Tolley, and as they keep squabbling, Simon Orange is getting ever closer. Tolley looks to the inside, doesn't get there, looks to the outside and draws right alongside. Can he beat Tucker to the braking zone? Goes round the outside of the mountain, and he goes off on the grass. Now he's going to try and get it back. Squeezes Tolley. Now Tolley's not going to like that, and here comes Simon Orange to his left. Orange squeezes through. They bang doors. Orange is through. Well, that was a little bit cheeky, actually, from Martin Tolley, who managed to get through there in a third position. But the argument is going to be, did you see how he overtook me? He went on the grass. He went round the outside of the mountain. It's a brave move, and it's given this man, Callum Greatrex, the man from Cardiff, an opportunity to close up. And I'm not sure what they're going to say about that one for Martin Tolley. Was that a legal move, or was that a little bit naughty? Here comes Tolley trying to get back on the inside of Orange. Orange is not leaving him any space. There's a little twitch as they nudge each other, and Tolley has to hang back. Now Greatrex is looking closer. This is how tight it can get at Cadwell Park. Very close battles, and that's a spin from Greatrex. That's any chance he might have had of getting into the A group this weekend. Well and truly gone. I thought he could save it by keeping it in a straight line, but he has spun it well and truly there. So what a shame for Greatrex. Looking like he's still going to get sixth position from this one. There's Bryn Griffiths battling away. Greatrex has slotted in behind Griffiths now. That's Leary as they tussle for position. So Griffiths hanging on to the place for the moment in front of Greatrex. So can Greatrex get himself back into position, or is that Bryn Griffiths safely into sixth position? Greatrex is going for into the hairpin. Griffiths is resisting. We're on board with Chisnell. They're still side by side as Greatrex desperately tries to get back on the inside of Griffiths. He's had to give it up. There's no way he can make that move by Chisnell, by the way, has got past Ollie Robinson and now is tucking in behind the next man in that little mix. And that is Ivan Leary. But your race leader is this man, Lewis Cannon, looking good for the win. He's not far away from it now, the 43, sorry, from pole position, originally in the A group. Having been demoted as he finished in the bottom 5 in Group A. He's now up front in Group B, and that's going to put him back into Group A for the third and final race of the weekend. Sometimes it just happens like that, but a win will give Lewis Cannon bags of confidence going into that third and final A Group race. He should be able to get himself back in amongst the established guard. So this is a great little run for the man in the lead, Lewis Cannon, who's had a fantastic day. In this second race, at least a little bit better than yesterday. He'll certainly be smiling wider than he was at the end of yesterday's first race. But up the mountain comes Lewis Cannon, out of the final turn and down the main straight. Lewis Cannon has got Matt Pollard behind him, but the checkered flag flies, and Lewis Cannon is your race winner in the second of the Group B races here at Cadwell Park. Third position for Matt Pollard, and second position for Matt Pollard, I should say, and third place Martin Tolley in front of Simon Orange and Martin Tolley. That's Martin Tolley in third, my apologies. Simon Orange and Paul Tucker. I'm getting confused. Lewis Cannon, however, is your race winner from Pollard, Tolley, Orange and Tucker. They go through to the A group. Then Callum Greatrex finally gets back past Griffin. Leary, Chisnell and Balls round up the top 10. Fastest lap, no surprises, race winner Lewis Cannon. Jenkins and Robinson from Hutchins and Rumsey. Bartlett ahead of Robinson from Gin, Fieldsend and Love, with our retirements this time from Richard Wotton and unfortunately, yet again, Jake Stiles. But Cannon will start in the A race for his third of the weekend.
A huge congratulations in that race. Really, what happened? You were practically out there creating a massive gap.
Big improvement on yesterday. I mean, had a few dings and knocks, and Brian gave me a brilliant car again, so yeah.
So do you have any improvement? Because obviously you'll go to the A's now, so have you got any plans for that?
Keep picking them off one by one, see what happens.
That's wonderful. Well, thank you so much for your time, and we'll see you in the next race.
Thank you.
Matt, congratulations on your second place. That was a really tough race out there, a lot of action going on.
No, it was really good. I made the most of my start. I got a brilliant start because I had a really bad start in the first race, so I knew I just had to really, really make a really better start, really. But just aimed at making the gap because I got in front of Martin, so I just made that gap. I was faster than Lewis through the first section, so I thought of making a dive through, but I thought not worth it, especially what happens in the previous race. But I thought I'd hold my position, get my first podium, and then can go better for me, really. And yeah, up in the A's now, which are on the cusp of it, maybe where I should be. But,
Well, we look forward to seeing you in the final race of the day.
Cheers.
Tolley, I couldn't be more thrilled to have you here. So all I can say is congratulations.
Yeah, really enjoyed it. It was a hard race. Want to thank all of my sponsors, Pollux, Logo Me Up, Creative Touch Design, MX-5 City, and just about everybody else that's all over the car. But really enjoyed it. It was a hard race. Well done to the two lads that were in front of me. Didn't do particularly well on the start, and then I had a really hard battle with Paul Tucker for about 80%, 90% of the race. But we got there in the end. Enjoyed it. Thank you.